Hello, welcome or welcome back to the YarnNYarns YouTube channel. My name is Angela and all the places you can find me should be linked in the description box below this video. Here on the channel you'll find me chatting about my adventures in knitting, spinning, crochet and weaving, all of the fibre related things. Welcome to today's video. I have been asked by quite a few members of our lovely YarnNYarns community whether I would record some wrap-up videos to tie together all of the 12 cast on making that we have been embarking upon in the last several weeks. So if you are new to the channel, if this happens to be the first video that you are watching here on the YarnNYarns YouTube, first of all, you are most welcome. We love to say hello to new community members. You may not be aware of the 12 cast-ons. It's a make-along that I've been hosting for the last several years, where we start on Christmas Eve, and for the last couple of years we've been going through to the end of January, and the idea is to cast on as many projects as you like, between 1 project and 12 projects, and in that way we hopefully set ourselves up for the coming weeks, months, years worth of making. If you would like to watch some of the videos either from this year or previous years, there are some playlists that you can find on the main page of the YarnNYarns channel. So today's video I will be doing a little bit of a wrap up of my 12 cast-ons 2024, which is this year's cast-on adventure. So I shall be revisiting my projects quickly just to give a bigger overview of what I've cast on this year. I've also got some community cast-ons and community making to talk about, and I thought I would chat to you about a couple of the projects that didn't quite make it onto the needles. I mentioned in video 11 and 12, I think, that I had been gifted a couple of patterns and I'd hoped to get them on the needles, but I just wasn't quite able to make things work from my current stash, so I thought I might chat a little bit about those. I've also been asked whether I would be willing to chat about last year's cast-ons and give an overview of how many projects I've got left on the needles, what progress I made. I will of course be happy to do that, but I think I'm going to split that into another video. I'm trying to keep the videos to around about half an hour maximum each video at the moment, so I think if I do a wrap up of this year and last year, we might be in danger of going into sort of longer territory. I shall be making another video chatting about last year's cast-ons, and I'll pop that up on the channel as soon as I can. Before I get into all of the great cast-on stuff, I do want to give just a little bit of a cheeky shout out to my lovely friend Rachel, whose birthday it is on Monday. I'm not sure when this video will be going up. Hopefully it will be Sunday, so hopefully I should be in time to wish Rachel a massive happy birthday. It's a very special birthday, so happy birthday Rachel. Hope I get to see you soon. And also a shout out to Justin, who put me up to giving Rachel a birthday shout out. I spent a wonderful weekend with Rachel and Justin last year, and they just made me feel so welcome in their home and took me to some amazing places, both near where they lived and up in North Wales. So yeah, big hello and shout out to Rachel and Justin. Happy birthday Rachel. So I think I'll talk to you about the 2 projects that didn't quite make it onto the needles, then I'll do the community shout outs, and then we'll finish it off with a little bit of a roundup of all of the projects that I cast on for 12 cast-ons 2024. First off, there are 2 projects that I didn't quite manage to make happen that I'd kind of hoped that I might, and these are both patterns that were kindly gifted to me during the duration of our 12 cast-ons. And the first was a lovely gift from Louise, so thank you so much to Louise. And Louise reached out and asked if I would like a pattern, and she asked me to kind of choose a pattern, and I said that I'd been wanting to knit one of Marina Skewer's designs and I'd be happy to be gifted any of Marina's patterns. Louise very kindly gifted me one of Marina's newest releases, which is the Deep Field Top, which is a colourwork vest. Isn't that gorgeous? And I was hoping to get it cast on because at this time of year, Marina, who also has a YouTube channel, if you're not watching, I will try and remember to link Marina's channel below. She hosts a make-along called the Out of the Dark make-along, and the idea is just to cast on either one of Marina's patterns or using Marina's yarn. Yeah, just to have a nice fun kind of end of winter make-along. Hoping to get that cast on, and I have a few skeins of Marina's 4-ply yarn, which I was hoping would be perfect as the background colour for that vest. However, when I looked at the yarn that I have, I didn't have quite enough to make that work from stash. in the end, I didn't really have time to rethink my plans on that one and get that one on the needles. I do still want to get that project on the needles when I can, and hopefully sooner rather than later. But I think I might have to order some yarn or do a little bit of swatching to try and make that work. I want to work with some yarns that I've got in my stash, but I think I'm going to need to add a little bit of yarn just to make the quantities work. Hopefully that one will be on my radar soon. I won't be in time for the Out of the Dark make along, but it's such a beautiful pattern that, you know, I don't want to wait too much longer before I get that one on the needles. So a huge thank you to Louise for gifting me that pattern. Also, I was very kindly gifted the baseline cardigan pattern by the lovely Debbie. So thank you, Deb, for gifting me this fabulous pattern. And it's a pattern by Suzanne Summer, and Deb gifted it to me because she knew that I had mentioned that I was interested in doing a sideway knit and also adding more cardigans to my wardrobe, and she thought this one would be just the ticket. And it's just so beautiful, and I think I had the baseline sweater in my favourites or in my queue, so this was another really kind, unexpected, amazing gift. Here is a picture of the cardigan. So you can see it's a striped affair, and I think it's either double knit or worsted, I can't remember off the top of my head. And I was hoping to use some of my hand spun as the contrast and pair that with some solid yarn from my stash. So the sort of commercial stash yarn would be the sort of background colour. My hand spun would provide what is sort of like the lighter colour in this pattern picture. And again, I ran into a similar kind of problem in terms of I didn't have quite enough in my hand spun stash to cast on and make things work straight away. So what I think I would like to do is to start a spin for my contrast colour. I'm not sure yet whether I'm going to order some new fibre or whether I'm going to try and do another combo spin. I need to kind of have a good sort through my fibre stash and see what I've got, what I think might work before I tackle that project. So I've got one spin to knit project as part of my 12 cast-ons. Once I manage to finish the spinning portion of that project, I will make my next bigger spin the contrast colour that I want for that baseline cardigan. So those were two projects that I'd hoped to sneak on the needles at the end of the cast-ons, but I just couldn't quite make it work from the stash that I had. I didn't really have the time to put the necessary thought in to either order yarn fibre or sort out some fibre from my stash. So yeah, I hope to get those two projects from those two wonderful gift patterns on the needles as soon as I can. So before I flash all of my projects at you, it's time to do a community roundup, and there's a lot on this list because I've been trying to catch up as best I can with all of the projects that everyone has been working on. So I hope you have a nice beverage, maybe your current project, settle in, and I will try and get through as many of these as I can. Joan finished her Musselburgh hat and has started a pressed flowers cowl from Deep Stash. Nada has been casting on a pagan sweater, an Albion sweater, a moonset tee, some London Memory socks, herding cat socks and a baby blanket. So well done to Nada for all of those fabulous projects on the needles. Wool Around the World has cast on a floof sweater. Teresa said that her 2024 goals are to work on her Wool and Nosh monthly sock subscription, and she's also casting on an artist shawl when her yarn arrives. Rachel has 9 cast-ons. Happy birthday again, Rachel. Can't say that too many times, can you? So she has cast on and finished 3 pairs of socks, 3 garments, a half and half wrap, and 2 more pairs of socks on the needles as well. Shona has cast on socks using her favourite colour yarn from Regia, and she's also been working on some squares from a Pick Your Own Stitch Build a Blanket book, but she's actually using that to practice her different stitch patterns and is going to be turning all of her squares into dishcloths, which sounds like a great way to explore different stitch patterns. Valerie has started a hat for her daughter and has been working on a raglan sweater, which she is knitting as part of an online class that she's been taking. Sarah has started some socks and has been spinning up some different samples and has started a 200-gram spin. Kay has started 6 pairs of socks and she's finished 5 of those. She's been weaving some towels on her rigid heddle loom and has started a hand-spun lace cowl and a crochet shawl. Carol has started 2 men's sweaters, a faded lines shawl, and she's almost finished a Stanley tank. Scarlett has started some rigid heddle weaving. She's trying some Sakura weaving for the first time. Pip has started 6 projects and her final cast on was a Moby sweater. Tracy is going strong with their cast ons and has actually cast on her 14th project, so an unofficial cast on, and it's the Land of Sweets cowl which she's going to be making for a friend. Angela has started a last long cardigan, and she's also mentioned that she was trying a new heel for one of her pairs of socks, a Welsh heel, so I'll have to investigate that. I don't think I've heard of a Welsh heel before. Given I live in Wales, that seems like something I probably need to investigate. Joel has been working on her works in progress. She's finished her Advent cardigan, and also she cast on a flax for her niece. Louise has started all 12 of her cast-ons. She's got 3 finished objects, a shift cowl, a colourwork hat and a crown shy beanie. Alison has also started 12 projects, and Alison made me chuckle. She said her 12 cast-ons are going to be self-destructing cast-ons, so she's giving herself a year to finish them, and anything that doesn't get finished in this year will get frogged. That's very brave. Susan has also started 12 projects. Susan's cast on 2 Guatemalas. Don't blame you, it's a really fun sweater pattern using up lots of bits and pieces. A colourwork sweater for her husband, a penguono, a crochet scarf, 5 pairs of socks, one of which she's finished, a brioche hat, which she's also finished, and also a colourwork hat. Woolen Wishes. Now, I'm not sure if this is Tracy or Kirsty that's left this comment. I don't know if you watch the Woolen Wishes podcast, but again, I shall link their channel below if you don't. It's such a lovely channel to watch. Either Tracy or Kirsty. I'm going to guess at Kirsty, because I think Kirsty has commented on a few of my videos in the past, but they said that they figured out that they had 12 works in progress at the start of the year. So what they've been doing is every time they finish a project, they'll start something new, and so far it's been working really well. 5 finished objects, 3 of their older whips have been finished, and 2 of the new projects that they've cast on. So that sounds like a really good way to work through some works in progress and just to keep the cast on fun going. Jill, who is a newer viewer, welcome to the channel Jill, said that she has cast on 3 pairs of socks, has finished 2 pairs of socks. She's also cast on a Swiss dot short sock. Say that 3 times fast. A litmus cowl, a lento sweater, and a honeycomb blanket. Mary has finished her Hansel hat and has finished 2 of this year's cast-ons, a handspun cowl and some DK socks. And finally for this video, Tonya has started 2 more crochet baby blankets. I think Tonya had commented before to say she started a baby blanket, a simple top-down v-neck sweater, and is making some memory squares for charity. So yeah, just so many wonderful cast-ons, and it's really exciting to see and hear about all of your finished objects as well. I've been starting to see more and more finished objects pop up over in our Ravelry threads and also on Instagram. So please do continue to share your projects in those threads. We'll be continuing the make along fun for the rest of the year now. The cast on portion of our make along has obviously finished, but we'll be working hard now, hopefully, towards finishing as many of our projects as we can. So yeah, continue to use that hashtag 12castons2024 on Instagram, and I will continue to try and share as many of those posts as possible. There are quite a lot of posts under the hashtag now, so if you are posting either finished objects or progress pictures, if you also have the time to tag me as well as using the hashtags, that would be amazing, because it just pops up in my feed. It's a little bit easier for me to find. So you can either tag my YarnNYarns account or my other account, which is Rainbow Ange, both of which are linked below. So time to just quickly revisit my 12 cast-ons for this year. I shall try and dig the projects out and give you a quick flash of the progress. As I'm recording this, it's the 16th of February, so we're a couple of weeks into February. And so far I've only worked on one of my new cast-ons. That is one of my sweaters, so I shall share with you some progress. The rest of the projects are just still at the same stage as when I finished the cast-ons. I've been doing a little bit of spinning. I've also been working on a couple of my older works in progress. So yeah, not too much progress on the new projects yet, but I'm going to be switching my projects around this week, and so hopefully I shall pick one of my other cast-ons to work on and make some progress on. A few people asked me whether my dice rolling game, or a little bit of fun, will be coming back in 2024. It absolutely will. I didn't have time to get a video up for the beginning of February, so I'm just freewheeling it this month and picking things that are taking my fancy. But next month, so from March, I will start putting videos up for the dice rolling and picking prompts to help us focus on our works in progress. Quite a few of you reached out and said that you were feeling a little bit of a loss without the the dice rolls for February, so I apologise. I still hadn't quite finished putting up these videos for the 12 cast-ons and editing all of them, so yeah, I ran out of time to try and get a video up for the beginning of February. So I hope you will forgive me for that, and I promise we'll be back with the dice rolling fun for March. Okay, as for my projects, of course, I have cast on 12 and you may have already watched the videos, so I hope this isn't too repetitive for you, but as I said, a few people had reached out and asked if I would do one little roundup of all of my cast-ons. So this year I have cast on 2 pairs of socks, a hat, a pair of mitts, a pillow, a shawl, and 4 sweaters, 2 cardigans. So I'm going to grab each of those projects and just flash them at you again. But I feel like I've got a reasonable sort of selection of different projects to work on. I have cast on a lot of garment projects again, which may or may not have been a good idea given I still already have quite a few garments on the needles, but I guess it's just the thing that I'm drawn to work on at the moment, so why not cast on what makes your heart happy? This is meant to be fun, it's our hobby at the end of the day, so yeah, do what brings you joy. If that's casting on 12 pairs of socks, brilliant. If that's casting on 12 sweaters, fantastic. Do whatever makes you happy, I say. Okay, let's start with socks. I'm going to grab my 2 pairs of socks. I will make sure to link all of the patterns that I mentioned below. Please be aware these will be links to Ravelry projects, so if you're not a Ravelry user, please don't click on those links if Ravelry gives you trouble. If you want help finding any of these projects off Ravelry, just reach out to me and I will do my best to help you if you're not able to find them yourselves. I can't guarantee that all of these patterns are available off Ravelry, but I'm happy to help if I can. So on day 1 of our cast-ons, I cast on the Yule Goubet socks. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I was gifted this fabulous pattern by the lovely Martin of Knit 365, and this was such a great way to kick off our 12 cast-ons this year. These fabulous little Santa faces on the top of my socks. So I've probably got a few more rounds to knit before I can work on the first heel, but these should be a really fun pattern to get back to. I've just got a lot of this kind of lice sort of dotted colour work to get through on this sock now, so yeah, hopefully it should be a fairly quick knit when I get back to this one. And I've got a couple of yarns that I'm using in this one. Its main colour is from Easy Knits, I believe, if I'm remembering rightly. Probably shouldn't give out this, yeah, easyknits.co.uk. I bought this yarn from a friend's D-stash, and then the white colour is some BFL that I had left over from another project, and it is from a dyer that's sadly no longer dyeing, Yantan Tetherer Yarns. So that is sock project number 1. And sock project number 2 is the pressed flower sock, and I remember I cast this on day 6. I haven't got around to putting all of my numbered markers on these projects yet. That's something that I'm going to try and do this weekend. I usually do it as I go along, but some of my markers are still on last year's cast-ons that haven't been finished, so I didn't manage to get myself organised and get all the markers on to remind myself for what day I cast on what project, but I do remember that I cast these on day 6. So it's the pressed flowers pattern, and I'm using some opal uni colour in a nice deep dark sort of chocolatey brown for the background colour, and I'm using some hand spun. The fibre was originally from Spin Jones, but I'm using the hand spun as my contrast colour. So those were my 2 sock projects for this year's cast-ons. I cast on 1 pair of fingerless mitts. It's a colourwork pattern called the Shonak mitts. Again, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I shall put details of the pattern below. And this is as far as I managed to get on the first day of cast-ons. I'm using 2 beautiful yarns for this. I'm really happy with how they are working together. The sort of rusty orange background is from John Arbon Harvest Hues, and the natural colourway is from Cartrev Yarns, a fabulous Welsh yarn sourced, spun and dyed here in Wales by my beautiful friends Zoe and Jenny, and I'm really excited to get back to that one. I love the colours, I love the pattern, I love how those 2 yarns are playing together, so I really hope that I have an opportunity to get back to this project sooner rather than later. I cast on 1 hat for this year's 12 cast-ons, and I'm using some beautiful yarn from Garthenor, and I purchased this from a friend's D-stash, and again it's just such a lovely yarn to work with. The hat is a brioche hat, but it actually features 3 colours, so part way up the hat I'm going to be bringing in my 3rd colour. I've still got a little way to go before that happens, but I shall remind you of my 3 lovely colours that I'm going to be using. So I'm working with the purple and the mustard at the moment, and I'm going to be bringing in that nice raspberry red at some point. And this is such a lovely yarn, and it's a wonderful mix, a little bit more unusual than a lot of the yarns that you find out there. It's Polworth, Romney and Hebridean, but I hope that I manage to get back to that one soon too. I do love the rhythm of 2-colour brioche when I'm knitting it, so it'll be a real joy to work on this project once I find the time to get back to it. I started one shawl project, which is also my only spin to knit project. I'm going to be working on the Traveller shawl, which is a pattern by Andrea Mowry, and I picked 4 braids of fibre from my stash, and I'm doing a combo spin for that project. And I was hoping to have made a little bit more progress on this project than I have, given we're a couple of weeks into February, but it's on my to-do list for this weekend to hopefully fill up another bobbin for this spin. I'd really like to get the spinning done before the end of February, and I still think that that is possible. Eventually that will grow up to be a Traveller shawl, but there's still quite a way to go yet before I'm ready to cast the knitting portion of that one on. I cast on one hand spun pillow project. It was a little bit of an unexpected cast on. Went on the needles right at the very end, near the very end of the cast ons, once I'd figured out that I wasn't going to be able to either get the baseline cardigan or the vest, whose name I've forgotten, even though I've only just mentioned it, the Marina Skewer vest. I wasn't going to be able to get either of those on the needles, so I decided to go rummaging through my hand spun stash, and I've started a hand spun pillow, or what will become a hand spun pillow, using a couple of skeins of singles yarn that I spun up in the past. So these are my 2 yarns, and the pattern I'm using is by Jem Weston from this Cozy Alpaca Knits book, and it's just quite a simple pillow using 2 different colours. I'm really pleased with how that this hand spun singles is working up. It's a lot more consistently looking in the knitting than I had hoped, given that my singles aren't the most consistently spun. So yeah, that's a sort of real surprise project for me, and I'm looking forward to getting back to that one. It's some nice simple backwards and forwards knitting. I mentioned earlier in the video that I was hoping to add a couple more cardigans to my wardrobe this year, so with that in mind I've cast on 2 cardigan projects as part of the 12 cast-ons. The first one, I do have my little number marker on this one, obviously it was handy hanging out somewhere when I started this project, but this is the beginnings of a garter marla, which is a Stephen West pattern, and I'm just using lots of bits and pieces from my leftover basket. I've got a whole plethora of different scraps and leftovers in my project bag. I'm just picking out different colours, changing things up when the yarns run out, and hopefully it will all come together and look okay in the end. But this bag is absolutely rammed full of leftover yarns, things that have been hanging around from previous projects. So what a great stash buster this project will hopefully be. My second cardigan is from some amazing gifted yarn. I'm really thrilled at the generous gift from my friend Angela and the opportunity to work with some Newtoden yarn for the first time. I'm holding Newtoden double, and I'm working the last long cardigan, which is a pattern by Albina McLaughlin. I believe that I pronounced her name incorrectly in my cast on video, so I apologise for that. I've now been told that it's pronounced Albina, so hopefully I shall remember to pronounce it correctly from here on in. But this is a fisherman's rib cardigan. With quite an interesting construction. You kind of start at the back, you work up, and then you flip over the top and then add the sleeves on at the end. So yeah, I'm looking forward once again to getting back. I'm looking forward to getting back to all of these, but yeah, it's always the joy and the pain of the cast-ons once they're all on the needles. They're all projects I'm excited about, and there's just not enough hours in the day to get back to them all. So this is why we embark on the dice rolling adventures, to try and find the time and the opportunity to work on all of our fabulous new projects. Okay, we're on the home stretch now. 4 sweaters. These are the last 4 projects of this year's cast-ons. So where shall I start? Right, here we go. Let's start with the very last cast on. So this is the Raya sweater. It's from the latest and last issue of Pom Pom magazine. This is a sideway knit, and I'm using a combination of some commercial 4-ply merino and some hand-spun yarn. And I had lots of love for this project in the last cast on video. A lot of people have said that they are looking forward to seeing how this one turns out, how it progresses. I'm looking forward to that very much too. This might be the project that I switch out my current knitting for this weekend. We shall see. There's so many projects that are vying for my attention, and actually I'm really happy that my knitting mojo has returned with a vengeance. I think I probably mentioned quite a few times now that towards the end of last year my knitting mojo all but disappeared, and I worked on a few things here and there, but nothing like I usually do. But at the beginning of February I went away for a lovely weekend with my knitty friends. That has really reignited my knitting and creative mojo. It's just what I needed, and I just want to work on all of the things right now. Also on my needles I started an Elton sweater, which is a pattern by Joji Locatelli, and I made a little bit of progress. This is probably going to be a long-term work in progress. It's 4-ply yarn, so lots of stitches, smallish needles. I mean, it's knit at a relatively loose gauge, but it's not going to grow as quickly as my knitted and held double, for instance. So yeah, I'm not expecting this to be off the needles anytime soon, but I'm looking forward to working with this glorious yarn from my lovely friend Caroline of Colourful Creativity. I cast on a caribou, and I think this might have been my first sweater cast on of the 12 cast-ons this year. I'm knitting my caribou from Plitalope yarn, and this is how far I got on the first day. It's all scrunched up on the needles, and I'm terrified of my stitches popping off the end of the needles there. I need to get some more stoppers out of my notions pouch for all of these projects. So this is my caribou sweater. The final project for my cast-ons this year is the one that I've actually revisited already. I took this away with me when I went on my aforementioned weekend away with my friends, and I've been working on it on and off ever since. And this is the Heritage Harbour, which is a pattern by Samantha Gearon, I think. And I have made quite a reasonable amount of progress on this. I did put in a marker which shows where I was after the first day. So with this pattern you knit the back bit flat, and then you pick up and at the shoulder and work down each side of the front. And I've just recently joined both the back and the front pieces in the round, so I'm onto just round and round knitting in the stripe pattern at the moment. So I've made quite a good amount of progress on this, and as I mentioned, it's the only project I've been working on from my 12 cast-ons so far. But I think I'm going to swap this one out for something different this weekend. I've been working on this one for a couple of weeks now, so I think I've had my fill of it for now. It's a beautiful project, lovely pattern, lovely yarn, but with all of my other 11 projects waiting for a little bit of attention, I think it's time to switch this one out and pick up something else for the rest of the month. So that's everything, my little wrap up for this year's 12 cast-ons 2024. I hope you have enjoyed spending time with me to revisit the projects that I've cast on this year. I have been so thankful for everyone's participation. It's been a real joy for me to see all of the new projects that have been going on to people's needles, and for those people who've been cheering the cast-ons on from the sideline, I've also been really enjoying hearing what people are working on, what their goals are or priorities are for this year's 2024's knitting. Yeah, it's just lovely for me to read each and every one of your comments or see each and every one of your posts over on Ravelry or Instagram. I am going to come back, as I say, soon to share with you a little bit of a progress update on last year's 12 cast-ons projects. And I think in that video I shall also do a prize draw for the cast-on portion of this year's make-along. So hopefully I will get round to finding the time to record that soon, and I think that will be the next video up on the channel, so I hope you will join me for that one. Let me know in the comments below what you've been working on in the last week or so since we last spent time together. I'd love to know what projects are keeping you company. I do hope you will join me for the next video, but until we do get to spend time together again, I hope you get to do some of the things that you enjoy. Great big woolly hugs to you all. Bye for now. Bye.